Today's mainline TV production of the Willows Park Preserve Show is coming via Zoom to the ongoing coronavirus pandemic. I would like to welcome everyone to our second show of 2021. Our goal is to produce a monthly program to inform our audience about the Willows Park Preserve in Villanove. My name is Will Nord, and I'm the Executive Director at the Willows Park Preserve. I'm happy to be your host today. The Willows Park Preserve is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that was founded in 2017 by a group of passionate Radnor residents who see revitalizing the Willows Mansion as an opportunity to create a public space for the people of the greater Philadelphia area while increasing community health and connection through expanded programming. In 2019, the Willows Park Preserve entered into a 25-year lease with Radnor Township. Our organization's goal is to restore this beautiful home in order to give it back to the community for everyday use. There will be portions of the home that will be open every day from dawn until dusk. In addition to having access to the building, we will be providing a diverse offering of educational, health, and wellness programs for all ages. For today's program, I would like to welcome Suzanne Amrich from Archer & Buchanan Architects and Caleb Arnwine from Gillespie Contracting. Suzanne and Caleb have been instrumental in assisting our organization with the addition of this beautiful roof, which was really our first large project. Thank you both for being here today. Suzanne, let's start with your introducing yourself. A few questions, I guess. You can introduce yourself. Tell us briefly where your firm is located, what kind of work you all do, what role do you play with Archer & Buchanan, how long you've been there, and how long you've been helping us here at the Willows Park Preserve.
Thank you, Will. It's nice to be a part of this program. As you said, I work for Archer & Buchanan. I am an architectural designer and preservationist with 17 years of experience. Archer & Buchanan is located in Westchester. And actually the firm is celebrating 25 years this year. And our firm's work includes residential projects that range from new homes, additions and renovations, historic restorations, country property planning, and equestrian facilities. But as the years have gone on, the firm also has expanded and its portfolio of work now includes colleges and universities, libraries, and other institutional projects. And the firm really strives to preserve the local heritage by designing buildings that will continue to enrich one of the most beautiful and historic areas of the country. And the firm's philosophy begins that they believe that the buildings should be inhabited for a century or more, and that they'll gain character, beauty, and value as the years pass. So it's a pleasure to work for Archer & Buchanan. We came to be involved with the Willows in the summer of 2019. We interviewed for the project to restore and improve the Willows Mansion.
Thank you. Caleb, how about yourself? Can you introduce yourself, talk about Gillespie Contracting, where you're located, what role you play with them, how long you've been working there, and then also how long you've been helping out the Willows Park Preserve.
Yeah, my name is Caleb Arnwine. I'm with Gillespie Contracting, Inc. We're out of Glenmore, Pennsylvania. Been around since 1986. Our work goes down to Delaware, up to northern Jersey, the mainline area, slate, tile, and copper, custom carpentry. And then there's specifically, we do a lot of historic restoration for replicating older roofing systems and improvements as well. And I've been with the company since 2014. So definitely have had some serious experience in that. And so, like Suzanne was touching, this is it's a really interesting, unique area for a lot of historic work. And so it's been awesome to be a part of that. I first came to the attention of this project in 2019. so I took some drone shots, which you'll see, I guess, in there, the before pictures.
Thank you. So Suzanne, interested to know what's your favorite part of the job that you do? So not specific to this Willows Park Preserve project necessarily, but just overall, what's your favorite part of the job? Favorite part of your job?
Thanks, Will. So I mostly work with historic buildings, and a lot of my residential work is additions and renovations to existing buildings. And the preservationist in me just really gets excited about really pulling from the character of those existing buildings, restoring things that maybe have been long forgotten or fallen into disrepair, and just shining a new light on those homes or buildings. And then how can we improve upon it? A lot of homes that were built in the early 20th century, those families live very different lives than we do now. And so there's more of a need for families to have more informal gathering areas. So how do you take a home that was designed in one way and make it really work for modern day? And so it's those challenges and accomplishing that while still honoring the character of the original house was what I really enjoy about my job.
Sounds good. Caleb, how about you? What's your favorite part of your job?
I guess combining new age techniques into the old world construction. Sometimes, there weren't all the materials that are available today. So in order to blend, such as like boral, polyash, basically into carpentry, if it's non-structural, things that are going to make it last a lot longer and not have to maybe keep band-aiding and painting. There's a lot of newer materials that you can blend in that really bring out and keep the longevity of the structures and some of the projects we're a part of.
Caleb and I were actually just talking this morning about, just historic details and how you can, when you're restoring them, you do it in a way that it lasts for a really long time, and you're maintaining that great quality of that character detailed, but just making sure that it's not a problem in the future.
Yeah, exactly. Like adding in expansion joints and stuff, things that maybe they didn't really realize a long time ago in some areas, but we've been able to learn off of, okay, what failed? All right, how can we make sure that doesn't happen again, or it happens a lot later down the road?
That's interesting, the bit that you were talking about that, because it leads me into some future questions that we're going to ask today. But another, I guess, question for you, Caleb, is so this house was originally built in 1910. I'm assuming there were a few roofs that were put on it over the years. So, the last roof that was on this before the new roof that you all put on, what tell us a little bit about that. I know we have a few pictures of the before, the old roof, the before pictures. Tell us a little bit about the old roof. What did it look like? What was the condition like?
The condition was rough. Some of it had not been maintained, and sometimes when these older roofs don't have any kind of maintenance, it kind of steamrolls into the opposite direction, unfortunately. I know the hips on here before, they didn't have stringers for a separate hip, actual tip tile. I think that was a weak spot, which was why I believe when I'm thinking back to those pictures, had a lot of roof cement in areas and stuff, and a lot of lots of Band-Aids throughout the whole system. There was in some of the older flat seam, there was exposed nails and stuff. Some of the things that we just don't do. But, there was tile on it before. It was a Georgian wire scored book tile, which is meant to kind of look like cedar shake. Definitely didn't flow with the building when you look at it. But it was really, you can see a massive difference, even not just because, it's a new roof, but just the way things were done of being able to see what went wrong and how we can protect that for the future and not have to worry about that. And then working with Suzanne and Archie Buchanan, that's a blessing too, because you're working with people that know what they're doing, know how to spec things, and it's a great support system for the install as well.
So that being said, Suzanne, as an architectural firm, when you're doing a project like this isn't a residential home. It's a pretty large roof. As your firm started to work with us, our organization, what do you all need to know beforehand or before you start a project like this? Can you talk about the process from your end, what went into it?
Sure. Well, a good understanding of the building and its history is vital. So even though it hasn't been used as a house for a very long time, that's how it was designed originally. So it's important to know who it was designed for, who designed it, just the systems in the building, what's failing, what's solid, what needs to be changed, how it's going to be used in the future. So it's that historic research. We survey the building, we engage our consultants, our engineers, so that we can get a better understanding of how the building is not functioning as far as the mechanical and those sorts of things. And then we meet with our client to understand the programming for the building, because once we have that base set of drawings and understanding, now we need to know how to make it work. And so working with the Willows Park Preserve was really great, and we had some really great just kind of development sessions on how the building was to be used, and it's linked to the community, and that's really what drove the design.
My next question can kind of go to both of you, but I have it for maybe Caleb. You can start, and Suzanne, feel free to add anything if you'd like. But I've been here as the executive director only a short period of time, just since the beginning of December. But I've even gotten this question once or twice, where people ask, they understand this is a large project. There's lots going on, a lot that needs to be restored and preserved here. But there's the question of why the roof? Why first do the roof and spend money on fixing up the roof when there's so many things to be done? So can you just, from the two of you, can you just talk about, from your expertise, why it's so important to secure the roof and the chimneys and the gutter systems?
Yeah, when it comes to restoration of an existing building, it's a really good rule of thumb is to work from the top down. So to be able to keep it watertight and preserve everything that is, there have been leaks in the past, just to kind of preserve it, to say, all right, let's keep this building intact and then not have to worry about it. Then once that's intact, everything else can take time as you budget it. You don't have that rush to try and figure it out. The gutters were included because they get fastened below the tile roof at the eaves. The chimneys were included because they're above the tile work. And in order to reassess the chimneys, it's going to lead into working above the tile. So that needed to be finished. There's a lot of things that needed to be addressed at the same time, and not just the roof as well. So I think a lot of that was kind of planned accordingly. And I think it's going to take off a little bit of pressure. I know there's pressure to get it all done, but it's going to take out the pressure as far as just the urgency. So there's peace of mind, and it can properly shed water. And Suzanne, if you want to add anything right there.
Yes. So we did a building assessment of the exterior. There's definitely water issues, and we were seeing that in the basement. And then we were actually seeing there was one spot in the front of the house where there was actually a hole in the roof. And you could see that water damage was carrying its way down to grade. So when we were doing the roof project, one of the things that we did to deal with water in the basement was to clean out the drains, and so that the water, once it was taken off the roof and running from the paving, would actually get away from the building, so that it wouldn't be pooling up in the basement or just putting pressure on those basement walls. So getting water away from a building is key to preserving it. And putting the new roof on, yes, there are aesthetic improvements that can be made to the house to bring it up to, we'll call it a pretty level, but mostly the building is really sound, and my assessment was that there really was not a lot of deterioration, and that once you put that new roof on, it was just going to help keep things at a stable condition until the funds were available to start slowly improving those things on the house.
Makes a lot of sense, right? To start from the top and protect everything else that we want to do within the house or within the footprint of the house. So it makes a lot of sense. Can the both of you or one of you, so let's talk more about what's now on the roof. The tile that was chosen, why that was chosen, a little bit more about where that tile comes from, how long the roof, now that it's new and been fixed and updated, how long it'll last. And then maybe also touching on, I guess it comes back to the choice of the tile or the roofing and how it ties into the architectural style of the original house. A lot of questions, sorry.
Well, I'll talk about the style of the house and why we decided to go with the roof that's on there. And then I'll let Caleb talk more specifically about the roof, since he's the expert. So the house is a Spanish colonial revival style, and that describes homes that were built in the early 20th century that incorporate a lot of elements of Mediterranean architecture. So you think of the bright white stucco and the red tile roofs, and they really have that kind of Mediterranean flair. And so the roof that was on there before, as Caleb said, is more associated with Georgian style homes. And there have been a number of changes to the house over time. And so I'm not sure if the previous owners were really trying to disassociate themselves with that style. But nonetheless, the original roof was a barrel tile roof that's there now. Our roof is red, but there are many colors of barrel tile roofs, and we are using the Ludovici roof, and they're made in Ohio. And Caleb, so before I let you talk about that, Caleb, one of the board members actually found a stockpile of the original roof on the property. And so it was really great when it came to trying to color match and come up with what the color of the roof should be, because we had this stockpile of tiles. Now, it was not enough tiles to re-roof the roof, even though the tiles can last at least 100 years, if not more, if they're properly maintained. But nonetheless, the original tile was Ludovici, and so that is what we went with for the replacement roof. Caleb?
Yeah, so I think the color, when I first got involved, I think the color and getting that, I guess, earthy look on there, the organic red look, per se, because I think they're looking at northern tile at first versus Ludovici. And the thing is that makes Ludovici so unique is it's got the lowest water absorption rate among tile manufacturers, less than 1%. It's very, very, very good tile. It's made in New Lexington, Ohio. I've been to the plant. It's a very awesome process to be able to see once you get there. And, it is relatively expensive to get to one of these roofs on, but for the time it's going to last. And if you actually go see their process of the kiln drying and making the mud and everything, you're like, wow, I don't know how they're not charging more, because it's a very, very difficult process to nail down. So the Willows chose a dark terracotta look for what they had. And I think that it looks awesome altogether. The system can be expected to last 100 to 200 years with proper maintenance. Using Flexum, which is a version of mortar on the hips, that'll increase longevity. It's usually a weak point, as you can see with if you look at the old pictures of the old tile roof, those hips were a weak point, but this will no longer be that. The gutters itself, we put on a Eurocraft half round, and it's a much stronger gutter than the American Burger style, which was there before. Still a half round. So that was preserved and improved. A lot of this is preserved and improved. And I think that's an important detail to understand here. Snow retention, everything that would go into a roofing system to make sure it's going to last as long. Everything that went in is going to last, hopefully, as long as the actual tile. So I think that's an important aspect too, because if something fails that's mixed in with the tile beforehand, it's not a good thing. So that's why I think a lot of thought was put into this entire project to make sure that everything going into it was going to last as long as this tile, or at least as long as possible. We use stainless steel screws for the hips as well. Those aren't going anywhere. We have flat seam copper. We pre-tinned all of our solder joints, and on the pre-tinning is basically coating our lock in lead before we actually solder it together on the flat lock. So a lot of little details are going to go into making this thing last as long as possible.
Yeah, there's obviously a ton that goes in behind the scenes. The two of you, the experts on knowing how to do this large roof and project. It's really interesting and impressive to hear. Also, really love the story about how one of our board members found, the old tile in the shrubbery on this property. So it's pretty neat to be able to match up, that color and that tile. Caleb, real quick, we don't have a whole ton of time left, but just touch on, the size of this project. We've already talked about a few times, but what were some of the greatest challenges that you had putting on this roof?
Right. So project took around 4 to 5 months. The complexities were when we ran into the dormers. So it would be a strict back and forth of our respected trades to basically come in, roughly frame in the dormer, waterproof the area, tile up to the recessed area, install copper flat seam and blocking, soft copper tie-in to the tile, so it can mold to the curve. Then we'd have to go back and put the window sills, the windows, the tile back to the tile, and then back to the carpentry trim, and then back to the copper work, and then we could tile again. So it was absolutely one day, one trade, another day, the other. It was back and forth in sequence. And I think that was the most complex thing that we had to work with. And there's not many details out there as far as the recessed aspect of the Spanish tile. We needed to make a drain channel, but also keep everything watertight for it to be able to for the snow loads and keeping snow up there to make sure it's out of the it not seeping in. So I think the greatest challenge, just to touch back base, are those dormers. And I included some pictures to be able to maybe put a visual to what I'm speaking of.
Yeah, I feel like in the last 20 minutes, I've learned a lot. So thank you. This insight has been pretty cool to hear. I had two more questions. I got, Suzanne, in less than maybe 30 seconds. So you've been working with the Willows Park Preserve for a little while now. Your opinion, your thoughts. Can you tell us why you're excited about the future of our nonprofit organization?
Sure, no problem. I have been impressed with the group since day one and their commitment to making this house really just a community gathering place. And I've seen during the pandemic how many people use that park, and I am just so excited for the projects to move forward and give this community a great garden room and open the house to the public. It's going to be fantastic.
Thanks. Caleb, how about you? Just tell us why you're excited about the future of Willows Park Preserve.
Well, I'm excited to know that this group's going to be taken care of for a long time, and it's in the good hands. You've got a great team. And it's not just about the project or the money or the budget. Sometimes it's all about who's involved and how, because there's always going to be challenges. And I think that's the greatest thing about that, is to have the right people in place to be able to problem solve and on the spot and make sure everything is done right. So.
Well, I appreciate those thoughts. One of the reasons why I joined this organization was because of the people that have been involved in it. And it's a great group and a very passionate group, like I said in the beginning of this show. So I too am excited. The roof is a very visible example of the progress we're making. So absolutely thank the two of you for helping with that project. We have run out of time for this show today. But if you want more information about the Willows Park Preserve, updates about our projects, news about upcoming programs or events, you can go to our website at www.willowsparkpreserve.org. We also have some additional pictures of the roof project on our website as well. So thank you to Caleb and Suzanne again. I thank you all for watching, and I hope you can join us next time.